Hello, welcome to Nerdy Folks Podcast, a conversation about the nerdy things we love and the things that matter most. My name is Matthew Seipel Anderson, and today I'm joined by my friend and co-host,
Ethan Palmer.
It's great to be here with Ethan. We are the hosts of the Nerdy Folks Podcast. We love this community, and we are glad you are with us today. I'm all about the word glad, apparently. I'm just so glad.
It's the weather, with everything being warmer and the sun being out. It just makes everything happy. It's spring. Yes.
Well, today on the show, we are kicking off a series about gaming. Talking about our personal gaming history, the state of gaming a little bit, maybe some gaming news down the road, and so much more. Because Ethan is here, and Ethan knows things about gaming.
I don't know everything, but I have been a gamer for quite a while, so I might have a thing or two to say.
Fun fact, the global video game market size was estimated to be $217 billion in 2022.
That's a lot. Holy cow.
That's a lot of zeros.
That's true. I mean, it is a very, very popular form of media. That's true.
The other crazy thing I found is that it's expected to grow to like double that within 7 years.
That's crazy. And I think I can see why, because like video games is another form of storytelling. It really is, or can be used as, or it's just a way to stretch the mind with puzzles and strategy games, or just hanging out with friends. Like I could totally see that it encompasses a lot of what people use as entertainment.
Well, you and I were talking earlier about the new Apple VR sets,
yes,
and how expensive they are. And you made the point that really it's the top technology and it's incorporating everything.
Yeah.
Music, games, storytelling, video.
Immersion. They even have haptic suits that you can wear where you can feel things in VR, where, you know, you get punched in the chest and you'll feel a rumble. You know, it is such an interesting, again, another form of media.
It really is like Ready Player One coming to life.
It is. It really is.
Take us back to your early days of playing games, and what were some of the games that were like your gateway games?
Goodness. Yeah, back, I want to say I was probably 6 or 7 when I first started playing games on a, not Windows XP, Windows 95 computer, because my dad was and still is a software engineer, so he was like really into all the technology at the time. And I used to play games by, I think it was Humongous Entertainment was the production company, and they made games like Putt Putt, Pajama Sam, Spy Fox, and they were all kind of like, you had this nice little display of a picture, and it was all cartoonish with these characters, and you could just click on things, and they would just make goofy sounds or do a little fun animation, and there was like an overarching story to them, like Pajama Sam, Thunder and Lightning was all about weather. So you got to learn about the different parts. And so you would meet a thundercloud and you have to go find its lightning or something like that. It was like some really funny little stories that probably my very first video game experience was stuff like that.
Okay. So was your dad looking at those games going, oh, the code is so sloppy, or I could make this in my sleep?
I don't know at that point what he was thinking, but it definitely got to like learn a lot through that as well. You know, kids nowadays have Miss Rachel on YouTube. I had Pajama Sam on the computer.
Nice. Well, I remember my first exposure to video games was my neighbor had an Atari. That's how old I am. And we never had Atari, but it was so cool. I remember it just blew my mind to see all the video game cartridges, and it's just so fun.
Do you remember what like your favorite like old school Atari game was?
I only played at their house a couple of times, so I don't really remember the games that much. I think they had some of the classics like Pac-Man, Pong. There was a game I think that you jumped up different levels.
He's in Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
Q*bert.
So I think there was Q*bert.
That's what it was.
Yeah, so it was fun. It was so cool. And so I begged my parents for something like that. And some time must have passed, and we eventually got a Sega. So I was like the rebel that had the Sega when everyone else had Nintendo.
Yep, everyone
Yeah.
had the N64s and you had the Sega.
Yeah. No, original Sega, I think, was around the same time as original NES.
Oh,
I
really?
think so.
Wow.
Or maybe it was a little after, but they were competitors because then Super Nintendo came out. And
Gotcha.
then it was, because I stayed in the Sega track, I got Sega Genesis.
Yes. And then was it the Dreamcast after that? I forget where my console history is not great.
Yeah, well, and then, so that's kind of, I think Sega Genesis is like as far as I went with consoles. My younger brothers then eventually got like a PlayStation and stuff. But I didn't really stick with it.
That was the next step for me. Was we had a PlayStation 1, played the Crash Bandicoot games, the Spyro games, and that was my gateway that way until I started getting more back into computer games.
Yeah. And computer games have just been rocking this whole time.
Oh yeah, there's always this joke of like the PC master race, that PCs are better than all other consoles. They all have their place. They all have their things they're good at. But yes, I've been more stuck with PCs in general because they're more accessible, really. Even though price for like good computers is really, really up there. But like I can play games that the Xbox has or games that Sony PlayStation has, or even some Nintendo games, or you could just pull up on a PC.
Interesting. I've been learning, and I'm sure I'm late to the party on this, but that so many games now are cross-platform.
Yeah, so one of them, for example, is The Finals, is a game that I like to play. That I played with people who have it on PlayStation, and it's kind of interesting. They're playing with a controller, and I'm using a mouse and keyboard, and just that interactivity is pretty cool. That we can jump between systems.
I think that's one of the huge attractions, one of the beauties of the gamer world, though, is just the community it creates.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The love, maybe a little hate, the rivalry.
For sure. Just like any fandom, for like
Right.
movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to have their critics, but the people who love it tend to critique it more. you know?
That's true. It's like I heard somebody say, nobody hates Star Wars like a true Star Wars fan.
Exactly. Yep.
So what games are you currently playing that are like fairly new or, what's hip in the game world?
Yeah, there's been a couple really good ones in like the last month, but the one that I've most recently been playing the most is a game called Helldivers. It sounds kind of scary.
That's my
and
new
dark,
heavy metal
but-
band name.
Yeah, exactly.
We are Helldivers!
It's a perfect name for that. But the whole concept is you're a part of a super soldier group called the Helldivers, and you're trying to protect Super Earth from enemies such as the automatons, so they're Terminator-like robots, or the Terminids, which are like Starship Trooper alien bugs. And so you drop in with a group of friends. I like to play with my friends from church and in school, and go blow up some bad guys.
Nice. So it's humans versus bugs and robots.
Basically, so far. There's rumors that there's other factions, like there's possible cyborgs might be a future thing, and I have no idea what the fourth one could be.
So you're protecting Super Earth, but are there other planets that you can go to?
Yeah, so the really cool thing about the whole concept of Helldivers is that it's a persistent galactic war, meaning that everyone who is playing the game is fighting to protect Super Earth and take over other planets. So every time my group of friends succeeds in a mission, we helped bump up our success of liberation, as they say. We have helped liberate a planet by a few percentage points every time we win. Or every time we lose those few percentage points. And so the entire community of, I don't know, millions of players at this point are all fighting to protect Super Earth from the bugs and the robots.
That is a super, super cool concept.
Yeah, it makes it feel like every mission that you do, you have a responsibility to finish it. You gotta do your part to help.
Because you're not just sharing in a game that you both love or that you all love, you are literally playing the same game together with shared goals.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a fun storytelling part of the game where the game developers are changing and releasing content based on the successes and failures of the players. So there was a planet that is the only planet known to make these exosuits that the robots had taken over. And we were all told, okay, everybody who plays the game, go capture that planet. And they did. And now we have these really cool mech suits that we could use to fight off, again, all these enemies. But people are thinking, okay, what if we had lost that planet? What if the robots had taken it over? Would we still get those mech suits? Or maybe the enemies become stronger in some way.
It's like a choose your own adventure.
It is a little bit of choose your own adventure. There's one of the developers, his name is Joel, and everybody's calling him Dungeon Master Joel based on like D&D rules, in which he is manipulating where the enemies are attacking and how the story pans out in its fullness.
It's super fascinating. I wonder if they'll release a what if edition.
That would be really funny. Like, here's what we kind of had plans. We wanted you all to go over here, but you ended up taking over this other planet instead. We had to change our whole plan.
Or at some point, the developers will release like a time travel element into it. They're like, oh, you.
The world is reset.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole war starts completely over again. Oh no.
That's pretty cool. Is it hard to travel between planets and things, or can you just choose,
not at all.
I'm just going to go over here and warp drive, you're over there?
When you're in the game, everybody gets their own spaceship, basically. And when you say, hey, I'm going to go to this location, your ship just flies there.
Nice.
The whole gameplay is more based around the actual combat than it is like flying around.
So it's not like an open world thing where you literally have to spend a year traveling through space.
Yeah, no, you don't have to do that. Thank goodness.
It'd be pretty boring.
Yeah, this isn't Skyrim. This isn't No Man's Sky.
So in your illustrious career playing games, what are some experiences that have been like meaningful beyond just fun, entertaining, but actually like kind of got you?
Yeah, so part of the reason later on that I got more into PC games is really my dad and my brother. It was one big way that we would bond together and, play something. We played the original Call of Duty 2. My dad loved a game called StarCraft that came out in like 96 and is still a popular game today. But it's meaningful because we have those memories of playing games together. Same with my friends that I play with now. We use it as a way just to hang out. We don't have to really talk about anything deep or super important. We can just have a good time and build those relationships together.
Yeah. Sometimes those kind of things, in the moment, they are just fun, but they become more meaningful as time passes.
Right.
Or just those hours you spend together just builds that relationship. It kind of makes me think of some scenarios in these games where maybe someone's hopping in and they don't have like a team, but they get assigned to a team. And it's almost like you never know who you're going to be interacting with.
Exactly.
It's probably not going to be some huge life-changing thing, but I don't know. It might matter to that person in that moment.
I've heard of stories of people like connecting with their game group. Say with like Halo was big, people would connect and they'd never meet each other in person. And then years down the road, they decide, hey, let's all get together. Let's actually meet together because we've known each other for this amount of time. And it's big and impactful like events and videos that I've seen of stuff like that happening.
That's super cool. Is there anything coming out in the coming year that you're especially excited about?
Ooh. So this month has been kind of fun and surprising in the game world.
Yeah.
Because the games that have been growing and got a ton of popularity are from small production studios that nobody has really heard of.
Cool.
Like this Helldivers game. They were the developer before they released said, I hope we sell like 50,000 copies. That's all we want to sell, or the goal to sell. And now they're like past 4 to 5 million copies of this game sold. So like, I don't really know what the future holds because these small studios are putting out some really quality work.
That's super cool. So I have a final question for you.
Yes.
We bought a Nintendo membership for Willem, our son, and it includes the original NES games, at least a big
that's
collection,
cool.
and Super Nintendo and Game Boy. And I think you can upgrade it and get some other, console games. So you can download literally like all these games right to the Switch. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So being that I'm kind of from the old school and have limited experience, are there some games you would suggest I look up?
Ooh, from that age. Well, Game Boy games. I used to have a Game Boy Color, and later on, I actually got the old original Game Boy that's like a brick. It's massive. It's like grabbing an old phone nowadays.
Yeah.
Anything from Legend of Zelda.
Okay.
Any of the Zelda franchise as a whole is a lot of fun. The other one that Willem might get you, and maybe you already have it, is the Super Smash Brothers games.
I've played that before.
Oh,
That's
my
pretty fun.
goodness, they're so much fun.
That's fun.
If you want team bonding or group bonding, you play that.
There was a Super Smash Brothers tournament at Twin Cities Convention.
Really?
And I watched some of it. That was
Oh,
fun.
man, I could never compete in that, but I would have fun.
Some of those people were amazing.
Yeah.
Man.
But Legend of Zelda, the original Mario games, were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't a big Nintendo head, I'm not a big Nintendo head. Those are the ones that stick out for me.
You were telling me about, going back to Zelda,
Yeah.
wasn't there a thing in one of the Zeldas where you had to turn off the console or the Game Boy and then turn it back on?
Yes, I did tell you about that. So that was for the Nintendo DS. So the
Okay.
little flip DS. Yeah, there was a part my brother and I got so stuck on in which they give you no instructions and you're just in this empty room that you can't leave. And there's this inscription that shows up on the top screen because there was a top and a bottom screen of the DS. And we couldn't figure out the puzzle of what's going on. Why can't we get through this? And at one point, we just got frustrated. I closed the lid for a second and then walked away and came back and opened it, and it solved the puzzle. The idea was that you're like imprinting this insignia onto like a piece of paper. So you're like closing the two parts. And I'm like,
Yay!
really? That's all it is?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to get mad first before you solve something.
I remember I just one time lost at a video game, and I, as an elementary age kid, I think I said every swear word that I knew at that point and slammed the controller down, and my mom walked through.
Oh, no.
I was busted. Oh, man. Well, y'all, thanks so much for listening. We are going to be back with more in the video game series in the coming weeks, so thanks for hanging out. If you haven't liked or subscribed to the show yet, please do so. It really helps us out and helps you learn about new episodes. So thanks so much for listening. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.